Hi, Craig. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, man? Happy Saturday. How's your day going?
It's going good. Going good. I missed the first.
What is that?
Oh man, you hear that, or is that just my
Yeah.
ear?
No, I can hear it.
Everyone.
Upper order online at
All right, we
participating
gotta
grocery
pull that out for a second. Still in my ear.
Not in
This
mine.
is tough. This is tough. I guess we can't go live until. Do you hear it?
Nope.
All right, talk, because I can't. It's still in my ear, but I can't close it because it won't be ready to go. All right, it's off.
Oh my god.
All right, I have to. All right, so when we do this, we have to wait through the ad, and then we
Okay.
can go through it. I try to have a nice, clean transition. You know, it never works out that way.
Never works out that way.
But anyways, I was at a birthday party for about the first 5.5, 6 innings, so I kind of went back and skimmed through some of the key moments. So I don't know. I think I saw most of what I needed to see, but
Well, let's go ahead and I know we're in a commercial break, but let's go ahead and try to queue up here because when we win this via walk-off, I want to make sure that we're aligned.
yeah, I love it.
I don't want
love
you to
it.
ruin it for me. So
Yeah.
Happy birthday to whoever's birthday it was. Hope you had a good time. Hope the kids had a good
I'm
time.
back. I'm back. I'm seeing missed opportunities. Let me know when you see the missed opportunities graphic.
Okay.
I paused it just.
I got a box score on the screen right now, and missed opportunities.
All right.
And now
we should be
Candelario ground ball, fielder's
You're
choice.
maybe we're good. We're good.
Okay.
We're good. You might be a half second ahead of me. All right, Tyler Stevenson's pinch hitting.
Oh well, then you're definitely ahead of me still.
No. I just saw
you see that on game. Oh yeah.
I see that on Twitter.
Okay.
But no, we're synced. All right. I do need to do a couple things to be ready when we do go live. So, I mean, I don't know. We can get into some of this stuff, but we're just gonna repeat it when the show starts. So,
yeah, no need to get in. Let's see what Stevenson can do against Jansen.
Man, right down the pipe. Oh, jeez. That was right down Broadway.
Yeah. This is Ty Steve's first at bat since Tuesday is what they said. So
it's pretty tough spot. Your first at bat in like 5 days. Kelly Jansen.
430 career saves. Just, light work.
Yeah. Nasty cutter.
See Ty Steve shake his hand after that one.
I gotta hit go live on Instagram. All right, we're live on Instagram. We are live on Instagram. Let's go.
Well, welcome in Instagram.
Well, there's no one watching from Instagram yet. So we haven't captivated it. Oh, Jake and Nick joined us on Instagram. Shout out to you guys.
Go.
Yeah. Oh, get it. All right. Got so many tabs open.
One down. And we got another righty-righty matchup now with Stuart Fairchild coming up.
Okay. All right.
Lots to talk about today, Nick, both positive and negative. So
is there? I thought this was a pretty ho-hum game. I thought there was nothing to talk about. I got like 2 things on the rundown, and I was going to call it an afternoon or evening. Are you saying there's stuff to talk about?
I'm sure that I have the chat hidden right now because obviously I don't want anything ruined, but I'm sure they have lots of things that they want to talk about today.
No.
But,
no, it was a boring baseball game. Nothing happened. Oh, I forgot to do that.
Stu Stu? Oh! Oh.
Game of inches. Everything's fine if that gets over the fence. Everything terrible. We suck now. Damn.
100 miles an hour, 100.2, 408 feet. Oh.
That hurts.
Wow. Come on, Tej. Home run in 13 of 30 ballparks. Expected batting average 570.
Just about the only place you can really get screwed on a home run. Great American Ballpark. Straight away center.
Drop. Nice.
All right. All right, Ellie. Oh man, I have my other screen on Fox, and they just showed the replay, like that they let off the show with a live update. Red Sox, the catch by Jaron Durant.
The catch. Oh man.
Like, come on, man. Connor Wong still behind the plate? What's Connor Wong?
Yeah.
What's his numbers here look like?
I don't know. This is the combo, right? And this is what they're talking about on the broadcast right now. Is that, do you try to take second if you're TJ Friedel and open up first base for them to theoretically go after Candelario instead? If they wanted to, instead of Ellie, do you stay on first base and make them pitch to Ellie?
I wouldn't worry.
3 hits on the day, so
I wouldn't worry about them pitching around Ellie. I mean, if you feel confident you could steal. I mean, Candelario's hot. Ellie then would be the winning run. It's just a matter of, do you feel confident you can steal this bag? Jesus. Connor Wong is in the 69th percentile in pop time.
Okay.
Where is he at? He has thrown out 24%. That's just slightly above league average.
I mean, Jansen has an extremely slow delivery. Yeah. So if you get a jump, I mean, you've got a good chance, but you got to also keep in mind that Friedel's banged up. I mean, he hasn't really been running well.
It's a good point.
I just, tough decisions. I also hate Kenley Jansen's little twitch that he does as he's coming set every time. Well, doesn't matter.
High drive, left center field, racing back to the line, Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did! He did! Reds win! Win! Line to the away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win. What a dream beginning to a career of Trey Bruce.
All right, hey, what's going on? Nick Kirby here. Welcome to Chatterbox Reds, joined by my guy Craig Sandlin. Reds fall in a tough one, 4-3. Reds led 3-0 early in this one, but gave it away to the Boston Red Sox. Craig, how are we feeling?
I was feeling a lot better about half an hour ago, Nick. I gotta be honest with you. I was excited to do the show. I thought the Reds were gonna hang on and pick up a real nice win and a series win against the Red Sox, and then it didn't happen. And so here we are. I'm sure, as you can imagine, a lot to talk about today. Chat is very happy. They love the way things went today, and we'll dive into it, and there's a number of key moments that we'll certainly touch on that I know a lot of people want to talk about. And then there's also the positive sides of it. Things like Frankie Montas's performance certainly comes to the front of mind. So, yeah, how about you, Nick? How are we feeling?
It's 101-62, tough loss. Hopefully the Reds can find a way to win a series tomorrow. It's a really good Boston Red Sox team. Obviously, it did feel like the Reds gave this one away today, but got to get back up tomorrow. All right, you got the box score recap, Craig?
Let's rock it. Here we go.
Let's go.
Box score recap, as always, brought to you by Nick Kirby, except for when it's brought to you by me. All right. We'll start it off right off the bat. Jarren Duran leads off the game for the Red Sox with a line drive single to center, extending his hitting streak to 12 games. But he is erased on a double play off the bat of Wilyer Abreu. Connor Wong flew out to left to end the inning. A 5-pitch frame from Frankie Montas, which would set the tone for his outing today. The Reds would strike first when they get a 2-out single from Jeimer Candelario up the middle off Jake Pivetta's back. Spencer Steer would follow it up, taking the second pitch of his at-bat deep to left field into the upper deck 405 feet away. Steer's 9th home run of the season gave the Reds the early 2-0 lead. Then in the third inning, Dominic Smith led off the third with a hard ground ball that glanced off Frankie Montas's glove. Ellie, who was shifted up the middle, changed direction, charged in on the ball, make the barehanded grab, and make the throw to retire Smith. And then, as it often happens in baseball, Ellie would come up in the bottom of the third with 1 out, work a full count, and then on the 7th pitch of the at-bat, he would hammer a curveball 104.3 miles per hour, 407 feet to right center. It was his 13th home run of the season and extended the Reds' lead to 3-0. In the 5th, however, Dominic Smith got his payback. He smacked a 2-1 cutter out to dead center, his 3rd home run of the season, to make it 3-1 Reds. And then we go to the bottom of the 5th. Will Benson would start off by flying out to start the inning, and then TJ Friedl and Ellie De La Cruz would follow it up with back-to-back singles to the right side, chasing Nick Pivetta from the game. The Red Sox would turn to lefty Brennan Bernardino to make Candelario bat from the right side. Jeimer would ground into a fielder's choice as Devers opts to go home and eliminate Friedl, who was trying to score on the weak ground ball, rather than to turn to and end the inning. Bernardino would then pick Ellie off at second to end the threat. Nick Pivetta's final stat line: 4 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk, 2 home runs on 96 pitches. In the 6th, Duran starts the inning with a hard hit line drive that was caught by Will Benson. Abreu and Connor Wong would follow it up with 2 more hard hits, both doubles, bringing the Reds' lead to just 1 at 3-2. Devers popped out in foul territory to Candelario, and Emmanuel Valdez struck out swinging to end the inning. And that would be the day for Frankie Montas. 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, only 72 pitches when David Bell decides to turn to the bullpen in the 7th. However, the bottom of the 6th was another wasted opportunity for the Reds. After a Spencer Steer ground out to start the inning, Jake Fraley and Jonathan India get back-to-back singles to put runners on first and third with 1 out. Nick Martini hits a dribbler about 5 feet in front of home plate, and Jake Fraley thinks that Connor Wong might forget about him, decides to try and go home. And instead of making the throw, Fraley is tagged out at the plate. He was out by about 10 feet. And then Luke Maley struck out looking, stranding 2 and ending the threat in the 6th. Sam Maul would go 1-2-3 in the 7th, a nice outing for Maul. And then Ellie would pick up his 3rd hit of the day, a 2-out single through the left side, 112 miles off the bat in the 7th, but they were unable to capitalize and no other damage done. In the 8th, Justin Wilson would come in for the Reds. Cedon Rafaela reaches on a ground ball to Jamer Candelario that was scored a single and an error, allowing Rafaela to advance to second. Honestly, a play that could have easily been ruled a 2-base error, but instead it's a single and an error on Candelario. Duran follows it with a bouncer that bounds over Candelario's head for a single and gives the Red Sox runners at first and third with nobody out for pinch hitter Rob Refsnyder. Refsnyder fisted a ball to right field, scoring Rafaela to tie the game at 3, blowing yet another Frankie Montas lead late in the game. That would be it for Justin Wilson, who was lifted without recording an out, responsible for both base runners. Lucas Sims, however, would come in. He would strike out Connor Wong, but a sacrifice fly off of Rafael Devers scored the speedy Duran, and the Reds trailed 4-3. The Reds wouldn't be able to capitalize in the bottom of the 8th off of a Jake Fraley single. And then in the 9th, Kenley Jansen would come in. Stuart Fairchild would give one a ride to deep center, but a leaping grab at the wall by Jaron Duran would rob Fairchild of the game-tying home run. Friedel singled on a center field line drive to bring Ellie to the plate as the winning run, but unfortunately he would pop out to left field to end the game. The Reds drop it and drop to 36-40 on the season.
All right, and we had a deep drive of the day. It was Ellie De La Cruz's home run in the 3rd inning, 104.3 off the bat, 407 feet. And our deep drive of the day, sponsored as always by Deep South Commodities. DSC is a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. Thanks as always to our friends at DSC. All right, so shout out Daniel Myers. He threw it a super chat. The base running today was disgusting. Jake Fraley needs to start slugging. Appreciate you, Daniel. I know you comment like every day on the YouTube. People who comment on the show after the fact, that really helps us out. So really appreciate you, Daniel, and all your support for the show. We'll get into the base running. I'm going to save that one for a second because I think there was something that was more important in my opinion that I wanted to discuss first. We'll talk about the base running, and then Jake Fraley. I don't know what else to say. Such a weird year. He's got a 278 average. Like that's like I think his career high, but he's just not. I don't understand. I have no idea what's going on with him. It messes with my brain. The Reds need him to slug though, because that's a sub 700 OPS. He's supposed to be the big right-handed bat, and it's hard to criticize a guy that like is having quality at bats, that it's putting the ball in play, that's getting on base, but just can't drive the ball for whatever godforsaken reason. I don't understand it at all, but I'm with you, Daniel. I want to talk first about the defense because I felt like that to me. I know a lot of people are probably going to go to the base running first. I thought the defense was the biggest reason why the Red Sox won this game on both sides. Red Sox obviously made a great catch in center field, and then the Reds had a really ugly defensive inning in the 8th. And defense matters a lot. Candelario, throwing that ball away to lead off the inning. I don't know if he realistically had a play. I don't know if Noel V. Marte's at third base, if they actually throw out the runner there. But you definitely can't throw it away and let the tying run get to second base to lead off that inning. And then Fairchild, not really sure what was going on there. I know we haven't seen him play in left field a whole lot. It's just a very casual throw home. I don't know if he even gets him. If it's a great throw, he's instant with it. Duran is 94th in percentile in sprint speed, but optics are optics, and it didn't look good when he was kind of casually throwing it in. At least fire it as hard as you can, and make it. And I don't know, maybe Stuart Fairchild has to kind of be set to have any sort of accurate throw, and it being that great of a throw. So I don't really know, but the defense, to me, I thought was the biggest reason why the Reds lost this game today.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, when you give up 2 runs in the 8th inning and end up losing the game by 1 run, then certainly you're going to point to those situations that kind of caused this. I think it all starts on that first play of the inning with Jeimer Candelario. I legitimately have no idea what happened there. Like, that ball went sailing 20 feet wide of first base. It wasn't even close. Like, he had his feet set. He made a throw that, honestly, as I'm watching it, I'm thinking, all right, I think he got him. It's going to be an out. And then the ball, they switch cameras and it just sails way away from Spencer Steer. It wasn't even close. And I don't know if he slipped. I know obviously he's been dealing with some leg injury that we don't really have a whole lot of details on, but that play right off the bat set the tone for the entire inning and completely threw everything off. So now, instead of nobody on, you've got an out. Now instead, you've got a runner on second base with nobody out. And then the next ball, Candelario isn't playing as deep as he maybe normally would have. Obviously, Duran has a lot of speed, so maybe he's playing in guarding against a bunt or something like that. But a ball chopper basically gets over Candelario's head because of the situation that they were in. Instead of Duran, knowingly swinging away, maybe Candelario's playing in, thinking maybe there's a bunt, maybe there's something going on, gets over his head. And now, instead of having 2 outs and nobody on, you're in a situation now where you've got runners on first and third and nobody out. And it just obviously, tail spins from there. You give up the single to Ref Snyder, the RBI single there. And then, you got to tip your cap a little bit to Lucas Sims, who comes in and essentially retires the heart of the Red Sox order. But that fly ball down the left field foul line that Stuart Fairchild caught, that ball's 229 feet from home plate. First of all, there's a conversation to be had that, yeah, maybe he didn't expect Duran to tag, but Duran's one of the faster players in the league. And they're tied in that situation. So you have to be at least prepared for it. And then for him to throw an 18 hopper that goes over 2 guys' heads that isn't cut off, Ellie's right there. If it's 226 feet, there should be no reason to need a cutoff to begin with. But the fact that you sail the guy with the strongest arm on the team and bounce the ball 18 times to get to home plate, and the guy's safe by 15 feet on a ball that went 226 feet down the line. It just it was mind-boggling sequence to me that completely obviously changed the outcome of the game. But if you don't get the error off the bat from Candelario, you get full effort out of Stuart Fairchild on that play. We're having a very different conversation about this game. And instead, we're, you talk about kind of flipping the script. Instead, we could be talking about Elly De La Cruz's incredible play early on defensively that changed potentially outcomes or whatever it may have been. But instead, here we are, we're talking about, Stuart Fairchild potentially being lackadaisical down the left field line, and what could have been a tie ball game at this point. We may still be watching baseball, but instead an error and a mental error at very least lead to the Reds losing this game. So mental errors certainly seem to be a topic of conversation, not only today, but in the past. Today, a number of errors mentally, not only the Stuart Fairchild one, but at least 2 outs recorded at home plate that were questionable decisions, to say the least, Nick.
Yeah, we'll get to that in just a second. It's just a wild game. I literally had my rundown. I know I can't come in talking about Elly De La Cruz right off the bat because, God, I would get destroyed. So I just had to completely flip everything top to bottom. We'll talk about Elly a little later on. But yeah, there was so many things that happened in that 8th inning. I mean, it still is a game of inches, though. I mean, Rafael Devers, before that sac fly, he popped out, and the ball just went on the other side of the net. Luke Maile was right under it. So if it comes down on the in the field side, he makes that catch, and Devers doesn't. And Lucas Sims, we're talking about him. What an incredible job by Lucas Sims getting out of that jam. And I thought he threw the ball really well for the spot that he was in. Obviously struck out the first batter, Connor Wong, a guy that might be an all-star catcher this year. Really good job there. But man, I really feel for Justin Wilson. Have you ever seen a less deserving loss and blown save than this? So he gives up that air to start the inning. The single by Duran hit 58 miles an hour. The single by Ref Snyder hit 58 miles an hour. I mean, that is just an absolutely brutal loss.
Yeah.
Loss and blown save. He got credited for both of those in this game. So poor Justin Wilson. It's a tough game.
Yeah, poor Justin Wilson. He faces 3 batters. The first one reaches on arguably an error. The next 2 reach on sub 60 mile an hour hits. Not to get into this, but for those of you that are wondering, we're about 4 or 5 days away from Marte being back and you potentially not having to worry about Jeimer Candelario at third base anymore. For those of you that are wondering, but it is interesting. Like even on routine plays from Jeimer Candelario, and maybe other teams just know that he doesn't have a super strong arm, and so they're hustling more out of the box. But like even routine plays seem like they are so much closer with Jeimer Candelario at third base than they are with normal situations. And again, it could just be that the way that players are attacking it versus what they would normally do if someone like Marte was at third base. But like I noticed it later on in the game, especially afterwards, that like even Romy Gonzalez, who grounded out in the 9th, like that play was way closer than you would ever expect a routine ground ball to third base to ever be.
Well, he has a terrible arm, so
arm
that makes like, everyone look a little bit faster going down the line.
For sure, but Nick, literally the guy gets the ground ball, immediately throws it, and the guy's still only out by like a foot. Like it's not like normally a play like that, the guy would just be like jogging down to first base. You may or may not even see him ever enter the screen because he's just taking his jolly old time. But no, Jeimer Candelario's there, so people are going to be hustling their ass down the baseline trying to beat it out. Sorry, excuse my French, but like it just is wild to me. And look, I think Jeimer Candelario has made some really good plays at third base. He's also made some really bad plays at third base. So, you kind of get, it's almost a little bit of an Ellie situation where you get some really good plays and you've had some really bad plays, but like his arm doesn't allow him to have those really bad plays like it does for Ellie, because he can make up for it otherwise. Like if Candelario bobbles a ball at all, he just needs to eat it.
Toast. Yeah.
Just eat it. Because and we're getting way off topic here, but how many times have we seen a double error play by Jeimer Candelario where he bobbles the ball and then throws it away? Here we are, same situation in the 8th, throws the ball 20 feet away from Spencer Steer. It's not even close. Like it just, I saw it on in the chat. I saw it on X.com, but like pretty soon here, if he plays more than like 5 to 10 games at third base in the second half of the season, then something went wrong, because Marte's got to be there most days. And for those people who are wondering about Marte and his struggles offensively at AAA, you can't afford to leave him down there to figure it out, because we need him at third base here. So look, it's the Reds and Nick Kroll and David Bell have to make some decisions here in the near future. You can't do anything with Candelario's bat. I mean, he's been offensively, he's been amazing for the better part of 2 months now, but like defensively, this team has to figure it out. And that I think largely will be Jeimer Candelario is not your day-to-day third baseman. And that's not a surprise to anybody, but like it just glaringly stands out as yet another loss that should have happened. That, you hate to hang your hat on like one specific play in terms of the way an outcome comes, because there were other situations, right? Like we give up the home run to Dominic Smith, and you give up the RBI double to Connor Wong in the 6th. And like, there's plenty of other things that went into it. But like, when you sit back and you think about it and you look at that error in the 8th, and then you look at the base running blunders that happened offensively, like it's really, really tough to be excited about the team. So I just went on my epic rant there. I apologize for talking forever, but like, just the light is at the end of the tunnel. By the end of this week, essentially, I would expect Noelvi Marte to be back in the starting lineup, regardless of how the next week goes at AAA, assuming he doesn't get hurt or anything, knock on wood.
Don't even put that out there. Don't even put that out there, Craig.
But yeah, it just and not to like completely shift subjects, but you feel bad for Frankie Montas. Like, so for me, Frankie Montas comes into this game. He had been struggling for a little while. Obviously, he had a really good outing against Colorado, but other than that, had not been great since the first couple starts of the season. Comes out, he's building off of a really good outing in Colorado. He's building off of a really good outing in Milwaukee, where he, again, technically gave up 3 earned runs, but left the game with only 1 earned run at the time, and then had the 2 base runners that were given in, but like, we're seeing really good improvement out of Frankie Montas the last couple of weeks, and it would have been really nice to allow him to get that win and continue to build some confidence moving forward. But like, 4 of his 5 starts since he won his first 2 starts. Since then, he's 1-5 in his last 11 starts. He's averaging less than 5 innings pitched per start. He's able to go 6 today. You think, okay, we're on the track back. He's going to pick up a W. Gave up the 2 runs later on. Maybe he's not a guy that we should be throwing out there a third time through the lineup, whatever. And then it just, falls apart for him. And I just, it pains me a little bit, because he's a very clear leader on this team, despite his struggles, and the other starting pitchers really look up to him. And just, I felt for him today, Nick.
So, someone asked us in the chat the other day. I think they asked, will Frankie Montas have a winning record at the end of the year? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, it's so hard to predict. And this is why, because,
right.
I mean, he did everything he could to win today. He should have won, and he didn't. So I was like, I have no idea. It's really hard to predict. But I do think Marte will help this team immensely. I don't care if he doesn't get a hit the next 6 days. Call him up the second he's eligible. There's nothing to gain by leaving him in Louisville. This is the silver lining with Noelvi Marte this year is the Reds get a free year of service time. He literally pushed his free agency back an entire year with the suspension. So you get nothing from leaving in AAA. So let him play his games until the regular season's over. Right now, I mean, even if Noelvi Marte is an absolute almost zero, you're taking out of the lineup either Nick Martini or Will Benson. I mean, like, I want the defense in there. Jamer Candelario it's crazy. He feels like he's as confident as any player on the planet right now offensively, and he feels like he's the exact opposite. He feels like he has no confidence at third base. He's -8 outs above average coming in. If you don't follow that stat, I mean, that -8 in mid-June is really, really bad. That's about as bad as it gets. So he's definitely costing the Reds a lot at third base, but I think he'll be fine at first base or DH, whatever, either one of those. I think it'll be a significant upgrade to this team. All right, so the base running, there was 3 plays in this one. I know you talked about it in the box score recap. We'll start off. I'll just run through. We'll talk about each one. First one, the 5th inning, Elly De La Cruz picked off with 2 outs. I mean, that one is, of all of them, that one's the most inexcusable one. I mean, Elly can score on a weak, on an infield single almost sometimes, like he has the ability. So he can't get picked off in that spot. That one was the worst. The other 2, I mean, I feel
real quick before we get into the other 2, Nick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say, shame on Bally for not showing a replay on that. Like, I don't know if Elly wasn't paying attention, if he thought he was getting a good break and he started towards second or started towards third, and then the pitcher decided to pick him off instead. Like, I legitimately cannot grasp mentally what happened in that situation where he got picked off so easily. Like, it wasn't even like, he got the pitcher made a move and he dove back and like barely got him out. Like, he never made a step back to second. Like, second base is the hardest base to get picked off of. And it just like, it wasn't even close. And I wish I could see a replay of it. Maybe we'll be able to find that in the future, but like my brain is boggled.
I went back and I switched it to Nesson to see. And yeah, he thought he was going to get a good break and he broke early. That's what happened. And I mean, you have to be 110% in that spot. I don't think like he should never, like, if he feels like 100% confident that he can steal it, but he can't in that spot. That was brutal. The second one I didn't think was, I really didn't have an issue with it. I know a lot of people did. Friedl going on the contact play with Elly De La Cruz running from first base, trying to steal second. Red Sox playing in. I mean, sure, I think in hindsight, you wish Friedl would have just held because you would have had second and third with 2 outs. But again, I don't think I've ever seen a runner hold on third base in that spot because you're trying to protect against the double play. Obviously, Elly De La Cruz stole, but I mean, in real time, like trying to factor all of those things, I think you just automatically run because you're expecting them to try to turn a double play. And, you want to try to score if he's able to beat that out.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't really have any problems with the Friedl one. I mean, I know it's unfortunate that you had another run erased at home plate. But again, I think in that situation, you've got a ground ball that's hit to your third baseman. You've got 1 out with a runner on first base. The expectation is, especially with a slow batter at the plate, that they would try and get Elly out at second and then turn the double play. Because as long as you get Elly, you get the double play. Because it was Candelario running, and he's certainly not a speedster. So like that one, I didn't have a real issue with. Unfortunate situation for sure, and in a play by Devers, but not necessarily something that I'm mad at Friedl about. Now, on the opposite side, the next one that we're going to talk about is Jake Fraley's decision to go home on a little check swing dribbler out in front of home plate by Nick Martini. What did you see on that one?
Yeah, I mean, that one really ended up looking ugly. Again, it's a tough play just because it was such a weird, it was like a swinging bunt from Martini. I mean, I know Trace was chiming in on Twitter about how if the ball doesn't get past the pitcher, you can't run, you can't break. I mean, sure, I didn't. That one in hindsight looked really bad. Again, it's really tough. I think you have to remember, like, this is, real time. You're trying to make the play. Going back real quick to the Friedl one, you also need to add that Rafael Devers is a really bad defender at third base. We saw it literally the day before. So, you also have to factor that in. But yeah, I mean, the Fraley one, that one ended up looking really, really bad.
Well, it looked terrible. And here's my issue with it, right? Is that you've got a number of different situations as a runner on third base in terms of how you're going to approach the at-bat, right? So for some situations, you're going to be going on contact, and some situations you're going to be reading the ball off the bat and making a decision on what to do then. In that scenario, he didn't break when on contact. Like, you could see him hesitate in the replay, and then it almost looked like J.R. House like told him to go, like, and that's when he broke. And it just, like, at that point, once you hesitate, and this is the case with a lot of ground balls in the infield if you're on third base, once you hesitate, you have to just stay. You can't hesitate and then decide to go, because the players are way too good in the major leagues, and they're going to get you out 95% of the time. Once he hesitated, he had to just stay put. Like, I get it. Maybe he thought that Connor Wong was going to forget that he existed or be so focused on trying to get the out at first base with Nick Martini, but like, it just in that situation didn't really feel like it was worth it to do that, because again, you've got runners on first and third in that situation with only 1 out. So even if Martini does get out at first, which again, we don't know if he was going to get out or not, because it was a difficult play until Fraley made it an easy play for Connor Wong, that who knows what happens with Luke Maile coming up if you have either bases loaded or runners on second and third with only with 2 outs. So that was difficult for me. Just, for me, it was more so about like the decision making and the approach more so than anything else. Just like, if you're going to be going on contact, then go on contact. But if you're reading the ball off the bat, like, that's a terrible read. And if J.R. House said go, then we can have yet another conversation about whether J.R. House is your third base coach of the future or not. But like, I just just a lot of frustration from the Reds in the last half of this game in a number of scenarios.
Yeah, J.R. House he's done a lot of questionable things over the years. I know the Reds love. I think he also works with the catchers. I think he has more roles than just
the
third base coach on the team. But he's 2019. He's been with David Bell the whole time. But yeah, there's been quite a few times I've questioned some of his sins and things at third base. All right, let's get into Frankie Montas. He talked about him a little bit earlier. As mentioned, I did not watch a whole lot of Montas's start. But good to see him get back on track. I mean, looking at the StatCast data, he did give up a lot of hard hit balls, but he did only walk one guy, so that's really good to see. He attacked the hitters, and I know they were talking about on the broadcast that felt like he was able to get the strikeouts. Like, he only had 4 strikeouts, but they were talking about how it felt like they all came at very important spots in the game.
Yeah, I mean, he had 4 strikeouts, and 3 of them, all 4 of them were to finish innings. So his first strikeout was of Duran in the third to end the inning. He struck out Valdez in the fourth to end the inning. He struck out Rafaela in the fifth to end the inning, and he struck out Valdez again in the sixth to end the inning. So, like, very big moments. It was an interesting outing for him, only striking out 4. That certainly is, slightly different than him. You look at his outing in Colorado where he struck out 9. Even in his last outing against Chicago, when he only went 1 1/3, he still had 2 strikeouts in that 1 1/3 inning. So, only striking out 4 is certainly an interesting development, but I thought he looked good and he was super efficient. And that was the thing that really stood out to me, is that he was super efficient. He didn't have a single inning over 17 pitches during the game. He went 5, 10, 17, 12, and 16. Like, the question for me would have been, obviously, there in the 6th, you give up the double to Abreu, you give up the double to Wong, but then you get out of the inning. Potentially, there could have been a conversation, especially at that point when he's only at 72 pitches, of maybe allowing him to go back out and get through the bottom of the Red Sox order with Yoshida, Dom Smith, and David Hamilton due back up. Now, obviously, Dom Smith had hit a home run off of him in the 5th, so that probably would have been his cutoff either way. But maybe you send him back out for one more out or something like that. But at that point, maybe if you're David Bell, you're just looking at the fact that, okay, well, we're building confidence. He's got 3 really good outings now, back to back to back. Let's cut him off at 6. Well, let the bullpen do their job. And to be fair, Sam Mull came in and did his job in that situation. So I was pleased with what I saw out of Montas today. I thought he looked really good and he was really efficient, which was the key to me. Only the 1 walk when he hadn't done that in his last 4 starts. He had walked 2 or more batters in each of the last 4. Including 3 in the last 2. So I like what we saw out of him today, and what we've seen out of him 3 of his last 4 outings. It'd just be, it'd be really nice to have. I mean, imagine a scenario where Frankie Montas can pitch like this for an elongated period of time as your number 4 starter, essentially. Like, I know there's been conversations on off the bench and on this show too, but like, if Frankie Montas can pitch like this, like, you're talking about a legitimate rotation that competes with any other rotation in baseball. And we'll have a conversation later about the number 5 spot that I want to bring up as well on for you. But like, I'm really happy with what I've seen out of Frankie Montas over the last 3 of his last 4 starts. Obviously, we got to limit the situations like we saw with the Cubs. where David Bell had the quick hook and pulled him after 1 1/3. But if he can keep pitching like he has for the most of the last month, I mean, it's going to bode really well for the Reds.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that Bell honestly didn't pull him. It was a 3-2 game. Rafael Devers up, a left-handed batter, and then the batter after that, Emmanuel Valdez, a lefty too. Now the Red Sox, they platooned Valdez, so they would have gone to a right-handed bat in that spot. But I was kind of surprised they didn't put Samuel in that spot, and then that also then made Samuel have to face Tyler O'Neill. Tyler O'Neill was used as a pinch hitter, so I guess he didn't see that coming. But it was a little bit I was a little bit different on the usage and deciding to bring in Samuel in that spot. Obviously, it worked out to that point, and really, it's honestly even hard to say that going to Justin Wilson in the 8th didn't work out, because Justin Wilson made good pitches. He should have got he honestly probably should have had almost a 1-2-3, or at least got 2 batters out. So it's really hard to be upset about the 8th. I don't know. Maybe you leave Montas in a little bit longer, because it was pretty apparent that Fernando Cruz was unavailable today. And I completely 1000% support that. He's pitched 3 of the last 4 days. You can't run this guy into the ground if you want any chance of saving making something out of the season. You need Fernando Cruz to stay healthy. And so you can't run him back out there again. So I don't know. It was interesting. I was kind of surprised he didn't go to him then, and then didn't let him come back out the next inning. It just felt like those 2 moves were almost a little conflicting. Like, I kind of would have been fine if he would have gone and pulled him when Devers came up. But then if you weren't, I don't know why you wouldn't let him go back out the next inning.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I mean, especially at that point, he had given up back-to-back doubles with Rafi Devers coming up, right? So to your point, like, if you're going to pull him, it seemed like that was the time to do it. And then you leave him in there and he gets 2 big outs, including his 4th strikeout of the game. I mean, I guess I don't fully understand not sending him back out there for Yoshida, but I think it's a moot point. Again, Sam Moll comes in, he goes 1, 2, 3, doesn't matter. I don't know that it really changes how you approach the last 3 innings anyway, right? So most managers go into a game with kind of a game plan of who they're going to go to out of the bullpen if things at least go their way, right? So, like, it probably doesn't change a whole lot of the approach down the stretch. Moll probably still comes in, even if Montas does come in and get Yoshida, he probably still comes in for Dom Smith, since Dom Smith had the home run in the previous at bat. And then Sam Moll probably would only go 2/3 of an inning instead of an inning, but then you're still turning to Justin Wilson in the 8th. So it doesn't really change a whole lot from that perspective. Again, the biggest thing for me is just, Frankie Montas continuing to improve. He went through a long period of time where he was struggling for sure. And so, I just want to get consistent quality starts out of Frankie Montas. And, to the person who asked the question last time, will he have more wins than losses? I don't know. I think the follow-up question to that was, will he have more quality starts than not? And if we can just get quality starts out of Frankie Montas, go 6 innings, give up 3 or less, like, this team's going to be in a really good position.
Yeah, and I mean, I think overall, Montas is, outside of the 1 start against the Cubs, you look back through, you feel pretty good about what he's done since about maybe the 5th start of the season. So yeah, again, my last point on the whole, Montas and pulling him, the only thing I would actually be legitimately upset about is if David Bell left Montas in to get him through the arbitrary 6 innings, so he gets these stupid qualities start stat. If that was the case, I hate that decision 1000%. I don't know if it was or not. I don't think it was, but that'd be.
I think we can both agree that David Bell's not exactly a manager that's concerned about that.
He wasn't, but he has kind of felt like in recent years he's been a little bit more of, trying to, be a little bit more of a player's manager than he was early. So
yeah, maybe, but we also saw last night when he pulled Andrew Abbott earlier than maybe Andrew Abbott wanted to be pulled, right? So
that's true.
Who knows?
All right, let's get into some super chats. We got quite a few of them. So shout out to all of you for super chatting. Zach Howard, Barry spoke pure truth after the last out for a club that preaches winning, not just competing. They have to play better to have any chance. Yeah, I mean, look, I think the Reds, they have to clean up some of these mistakes. Would remind you, this team has the best record in the National League over the last nearly month at this point. So, I mean, I think this was a bad game, but I do think overall the Reds are playing better. And I don't know. I'm sure that went well. I don't have it up. I don't want to look. RD711, what will it take to fire Bell? How many kidneys must I donate to make this happen? I mean, I'm sorry, RD711. Unless the Reds completely just fall off the face of the earth and finish 20 games below 500, 25 games below 500, I don't even think it's going to be remotely considered.
Listen, Nick, I texted you this before the show ever even started, based on a interaction on x.com. And I'm not going to bother actually waiting for responses in this. Y'all can debate amongst the chat. What did David Bell do wrong today? Like, I get it that you don't like him. I get it that they lost and that they made the base running blunders, but I think is that on David Bell?
I think that in fairness to that question and what is upsetting people, I think it's that they feel there's a lack of accountability for this stuff completing to happen. And I guess I kind of can understand that part of it. It's just when you do watch this team every single day, I think you and I talked about this with the offense and, last night in the perceived inconsistency. I think most fans of teams probably feel that about their team. I think there's, especially if you're a Washington Nationals fan this year, that team's made significantly more outs on the bases. They've been caught stealing more. They've been picked off more, and they're one of the very few aggressive teams. Now the Brewers, they're the poster child. We all wish we could be like the Brewers. I mean, they do everything right. They don't screw anything up. But I think that sometimes when you're in the weeds like we are, and I know all the people that loyally watch the show every day, I think that sometimes it can feel a little bit worse than it is.
Let me just say one thing real quick, and then we can move on to the next super chat. But accountability is extremely difficult on a roster with 26 guys where half of them are specifically designated for certain platoons. So unless you're willing to allow David Bell to hold people accountable by pulling them out of a game or changing the lineup, because then you're going to have matchups that you don't agree with. Then you're going to have situations where you have people playing positions that you don't agree with. So he has very limited ability to hold people accountable publicly, right? We don't see what happens behind the scenes. We know that David Bell is very PC when it comes to his press conferences. We know that he's very, dedicated to the platoon. We don't know what happens behind the scenes, but if he were to hold someone accountable and pull them from a game, you'd immediately start to criticize that too, because now we have someone facing, lefty matchup or righty matchup, or why did we make that change at that point? It's a never ending cycle. And so he has limited availability, limited ability to hold people accountable. Tyler Stevenson, which we'll get into, isn't available to start a game. Luke Maley starts his fourth straight game behind the dish. You're dealing with a banged up team. You're dealing with only having 26 guys on the active roster. Only so much he can do. And not to get into it a whole lot, but in my mind, baseball is the sport that has the least impact on the outcome of the game by the manager. I don't know. Maybe basketball can compete with it, but it's not like football where the guy's calling plays every single time and makes, the play calls that determine the outcome of the game. It's just very different. So we don't need to get into it. Let's go. Next super chat.
Yeah. And I don't think your manager should be calling people out in their press conference. I think that's a recipe to have an absolute dumpster fire locker room. That's how you get to be the San Diego Padres of 2023. Bryce Sizemore. I have no input on this game. This is for the chat. Well, Bryce, bold move. I get it that you're frustrated with this team. I am too. But if I see another comment that the season is over when it's late June, it's hilarious. Thank you, Bryce, for your comment. I'm going to leave it at that. RD711. Trace only shows up for the W's. Trace was actually at the game. He was with Mr. 988 himself, Tony Kodner, who awesome guy supporting the show. So he was there. He was at the game. I'm sure he'll give his input on the game tomorrow night at 9 p.m. So you'll have to tune in for that. And then Chase Wellman, 16-10 since the lows of 20-30. Stay positive. Chase, love you, brother. All right, let's talk.
Speaking of 988, let's knock out some ads real quick, Nick.
Yeah. Speaking of 988, let's start off with Game Time. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball. And you know what that means? It makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app, they actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in pricing, views from your seat, and the lowest price guaranteed, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. They have all-in pricing. You can toggle this feature, and it shows you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code CINCY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code CINCY, CINCY for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. I also feel like I didn't say terms apply loud enough, so terms do apply. And then also, we want to remind you that you can call or text 988 anytime at all, day or night. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is a place to get support for anything related to mental health, including if you dislike David Bell. Whether in an immediate crisis, simply wanting to find out how to connect with care, or anything in between, it's a 100% confidential, secure, and anonymous way to reach out for help when you don't know where else to turn. To connect, call or text 988 or visit mantherapy.org to get help. It's okay not to be okay. All right. I got a lot on this rundown. I don't even know if we'll get to it all. There's a lot.
We did get one more. We got one more super chat. Go ahead and knock that one out real quick before we get into Ellie.
I appreciate that because that makes it a lot easier for me at 3 o'clock in the morning when I edit this podcast. I disagree 100% with Craig on his take on Bell. All right.
Noted.
Thanks. Thank you for knowing that. Thank you for watching. I don't really know what else to say. I'm sorry you disagree. It's like the guy that there's a guy that tweeted me, Nick Kirby sucks. I'm like, I click on his profile. It says following you. I'm like, who's the idiot here? Who's the idiot here, man? You're following me. Like, do I provide some sort of like, do I break news? Like, you don't have to follow me, bro. Like, hit the follow button. Hit the unfollow button. Like, it clicks. Like, I don't.
I think it was that same thread, but it was Nick Kirby needs to be bullied off this app. Again, like, nobody's block you. If you don't like it, don't like it. I don't know. Oh, all you do is chime in to defend people. Like, anyway. Like, Ellie De La Cruz, 3 hard hit balls today, Nick. Home run went 104.3.
Hold on. That was not clean. That was not clean. Clean this up. That was mid-sentence. Do you know how hard it is to cut that? Do you know how hard it is to cut that, Craig? That is so hard to cut. All right, Ellie De La Cruz. He had a really good day today outside of the one base running blunder that we already talked about. 3-hit day. Made an incredible bear into play. Good to see him hit the ball to the ballpark again. What you kind of expect with your generational superstar, Ellie De La Cruz.
Yeah, 3 hard hit balls, like you mentioned. The home run went 104.3. His single was 99.6, and then that single in the 7th, 112 miles per hour off the bat. Not to change topic or anything, but just real quick, even though completely unrelated, shout out to O'Neal Cruz today, 111.6 off the bat, 445 feet into the Allegheny River. Insane. Anyway, back to Ellie, the rich man's O'Neal Cruz. It's time to pay him. I think we can acknowledge that. Defensively, made a really nice play again today, but offensively hitting the ball hard. Look, Ellie's gone through plenty of slumps. We've seen it, but when he gets hot like this, there are very few players who are anywhere near his league. he had gone hitless for his last 3. So I want to like keep this in perspective. Like, it's not like he's tearing the cover off the ball nonstop right now, but at the same time, like, he's very streaky right now. And this is a sign that he could go on one of those epic tears. And so, yes, today was big, goes out of the ballpark for the first time since June 16th. So first time in 5 games. It feels again like an opportunity for a turning point for him to be able to go and kind of carry this on into what continues to be a very difficult stretch for the Reds. Again, this is a team that's playing a very high number of games against division opponents. And once this series is over, welcomes Pittsburgh to town. So, it's big. We need him to be hot right now. And if he can kind of carry some momentum into the Pittsburgh series, that'll be really big for this squad.
Yeah, Ellie De La Cruz now up to a 117 WRC plus. So at 22 years old, he's 17% better than league average. That obviously has nothing to do with his defense, which has been rates very well despite some errors. He makes plays that no one else can make, and that doesn't count his obviously incredible base running when he leads the league in stolen bases. But one thing that I think has maybe gone a little under the radar with Ellie De La Cruz, Ellie is second on this team right now in on-base percentage. Jonathan Indian's number 1 at 354. Then Ellie's at 338. Fraley's at 330. Steer's 326. Friedel's 324. Stevenson's 322. Ellie De La Cruz is second. And that's with a strikeout rate that I know drives a lot of people nuts. I mean, this kid's 22 years old, second on the team in on-base percentage, 17% better than league average. I think what he's done this year so far through the first 76 games of the year offensively has been really, really just awesome to see, and a big it's a big leap from where he was at the end of the year last year.
Yeah, I think people get impatient with people who are projected by fans and by others to be superstars, right? They want them to come in and immediately be superstars all the time. And that's very rare. That doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. We've seen plenty of guys who come in and are red hot really quick and stay that way. But at the same time, like, we're seeing progress, right? And like that, I know that that's very difficult to like say that that's okay on a guy who I just said we should be paying $30 million a year to. So I get the challenge there, but ultimately you either re-sign him and keep him and you pay him $30 million a year, or you lose him and he goes and signs somewhere else like LA or New York. And it's going to happen. Like, I don't want to downplay that a little bit. Like, barring something wild, like the Yankees or the Dodgers or somebody else, they're going to pay this man because of the upside that he provides, both getting on base, the chaos that he can create once he is on base, his defensive ability. He's only going to get better. And that's the piece that I'm trying to focus on, right? Like, there's certainly brain farts like he had today where he got picked off a second. But you look at stats like outs above average, which weighs in everything. And like, he's still one of the best in the league at shortstop. So I personally, really excited to see him with the 3 hard hit balls today, being able to leave the yard, 3-hit day. Would have loved to see him put a better swing together in that last inning, obviously. But overall, I mean, you have to be generally optimistic about the future of Ellie De La Cruz. And then another guy who hit the ball hard today is Spencer Steer. Obviously leaves the ballpark in the first inning, his 9th home run of the year. Spencer Steer today hit the ball 105.1, 99.2, and 102.7. If those two guys, Ellie De La Cruz and Spencer Steer, can hit the ball hard, and you pair that with a guy like TJ Friedl who can get off on base early on in the game. You've got guys like Candelario who have been hitting really well, even guys like Fraley who are hitting for average, even if not power. And like, this lineup, again, we've talked about it before, like, it really can become and has the potential to become a pretty potent lineup, despite the fact that they have struggled offensively. It feels to me, Nick, and again, we'll get called optimists, we'll get called unrealistic, but like it feels to me like this team is right there. It just need everybody to come together at once. And right now they haven't had a stretch where everybody is really hot at the same time.
Yeah, Steer, now that's now 2 home runs in the last 6 games, only 9 on the year. I'd be lying if I didn't feel like he was going to give you a little bit more power. But if Steer could just be, I think Steer got mischaracterized as a guy that was going to have a high average, and that really wasn't like his profile when he came up. He was a guy that was going to mash left-handed pitching, a guy that you hope could just be average against right-handed pitching. But you hope that he could continue to show some power, because I think if he's able to hit 20, 25 home runs, that is a pretty big leap from the Spencer Steer that we saw when he was really, slumping from, May into to early June. So, just good to see him, starting to hit the ball to the ballpark. And it just feels like the Reds, they're hitting the ball to the ballpark a lot more. My first point when I was thinking we were going to go to the show tonight with a winning lead is, wow, nice day at home runs back-to-back day. It masks a lot of falls. Because if the Reds had won this game today, the home run ball would have masked a lot of falls, just like it did yesterday, just like it did on Friday. Both days it did. But one quick point back on Elly De La Cruz, just because I did spend a second here looking it up and I had this written down. Elly De La Cruz right now is at a 7. Where is he at? He's at a 782 OPS. Top 4 prospects in Major League Baseball coming into this year that have played in the major leagues. Jackson Holliday, 170 OPS. Jackson Churio, 628 OPS. Wyatt Langford, 681 OPS. Evan Carter, 633 OPS. So just wanted to add that into that. All right.
Wyatt Langford did hit another home run today, though. So that's going to go up.
No. This is MLB.com. They're up to date to the minute, so that included it in there. I know he's hot right now, but hey, players like Wyatt Langford that are 22 years old, believe it or not, they're going to have some ups and downs. It's crazy how that works, but it happens. I don't know if you have anything to add about Sam Moll. I just wanted to keep reminding people how dominant he's been. I talked about that last night. 5 earned runs now in 42 innings pitched. He's now got a 1.07 ERA with the Reds. I mean, what do you think about this incredible lefty that Trey said looks like he should be pitching for the Yowls?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know that there's a whole lot more to be said, right? Like even today, and he didn't even look like he was like his best today, and he still went out and got a 1-2-3 inning. Like he felt to me like he labored a little bit. He only threw 9 strikes on 16 pitches, and yet still fly out to right, strike out, fly out to left, like nothing hard hit. It's just like Sam Moll is one of those guys where, and part of it, I also want to say this, part of it is like credit to David Bell. He's putting him in situations where he can be successful. I know, shout out to David Bell, but like Sam Moll, we talk a lot about Fernando Cruz and our confidence in Fernando Cruz to come in and get outs. I have Sam Moll right there with Fernando Cruz in terms of confidence coming out of the bullpen. Like ever since coming to Cincinnati, he's done nothing but shut guys down. He's been unhittable. And in now basically a year with the Reds, right? I mean, essentially a year. He's given up a total of 5 earned runs. Like it really is like something that people need to be taking note on and acknowledging, because he's really shown an ability to be a go-to arm out of the bullpen. And the other piece that, kind of plays into this a little bit in terms of Sam Moll is that, he's still early on. He's still arbitration eligible for the next 3 years. Like he's still under team control for 3 more years. So, you give up a guy like Joe Boyle, go out and get Sam Moll, and now you've got Sam Moll, a reliable left-handed bullpen arm for the next, essentially for 4.5 years, if you decide to keep him for the entire length.
One other thing I had on my notes here, shout out to Jonathan India. He raises OPS up to 701. OPS was 600 back on May 23rd, so less than a month ago. Shout out to Jonathan India. And then Tyler Stevenson was warming up Frankie Montas at one point in this game. Little curious why they're not giving any sort of info on this, but you know what? They might be saying, you know what? Every time we give a little bit of info and something changes, we get absolutely crushed. You know what? Screw all you. We're not telling you a damn thing. We're just going to say it's an undisclosed injury. I honestly kind of hope they do that for everyone the rest of the way. So you know what? We've got crushed so much of this. People say our medical staff's the worst in baseball. Everyone has an undisclosed injury. They go on and that's how they go going forward.
Yeah, they called it what, day to day with an undisclosed injury, but he was available off the bench. He came in and pinch hit in the 9th.
He did pinch hit.
Again, I may have just been like reading into stuff or seeing things. It looked to me after he fouled one ball off that he was shaking his right hand. I could just be reading things. I don't know. It could be nothing, but it could be an injury there. And obviously, if you're a catcher and you have an injury to your throwing hand, that could be detrimental. So I understand if that's the case, not wanting him behind the plate. But I also don't like not having his bat in the lineup. And now with 3 catchers on the 26 man, it'll be interesting to see if, first of all, obviously, how does he feel after that at bat today? But then is it a situation where either he can catch tomorrow or where you could potentially DH him and see if he can go that way? The Red Sox, at least last I checked, had not announced their starter for tomorrow. I'm not sure if they've done that yet. But depending on who they end up throwing, maybe that's an opportunity for Ty Steve to come in and DH. But yeah, good. At bare minimum, nice to have some sort of an update and to see him pinch hit. Makes me feel like it won't be one of those situations where all of a sudden after a week they go on the 10-day IL, but we'll see.
We do a starting pitcher for tomorrow. They haven't put it on the thing. It's not on MLB.com, but I found out by doing a little bit of research. It is Zach Kelly. I don't know who that is.
Didn't he pitch today? He pitched today.
Did he? All right, so I guess it's an opener situation. They have Chase Anderson as a long man. I know that Chris Catello of Mass Live had reported that either him or Brad Keller might be used. Zach Kelly, 1.75 ERA. But yeah, he's been used exclusively as a reliever. So righty, so it'll be an opener situation. I would assume Chase Anderson's probably involved because he has not pitched in like the last 8 days. So I would imagine. So tomorrow's gonna be a good match. We'll get into that here in just a second. Any other thoughts on this game before we get into Reds MILB, and then I'll talk a little bit more about Lodolo.
Yeah, not a whole lot of other thoughts on today. I do want to give a shout out to Jake Fraley. We obviously mentioned him a little bit, obviously made the blunder or potential blunder on the base pass, but a guy that worked 4 really good at bats. And if you're not going to be hitting for power, you better be working really good at bats and getting on base, which he has been doing. And so 4 at bats today, he struck out in his first at bat on 5 pitches, but then in the 4th, an amazing at bat, 12 pitches that ends up with him getting retired on a ground out to first, but a really good at bat. Followed it up in the 6th with a 6-pitch single, and then in the 8th with a 9-pitch at bat that resulted in a single as well. So, even though he's not hitting for power, he's doing things that benefit the team overall. Nick Pivetta threw a lot of pitches despite only going 4 1/3. He went 96 pitches in 4 1/3, and a lot of that had to do with guys like Jake Fraley working good at bats. So don't want to miss out on at least acknowledging Jake Fraley. And then let's tie this into your Reds MILB report. But Derek Johnson was quoted today talking about Graham Ashcraft and said that Graham is working on his changeup at AAA. And that quote, "It's a matter of time. If he has another good start or whatever, we have a decision to make." So Ashcraft is 1-1 in his 2 starts at Louisville, 12 innings pitched, 12 strikeouts, 3.0 ERA. His last start, 6 innings pitched, only 1 run on 5 hits. What if anything, do you make of Derek Johnson and his comment about only needing maybe one more good start out of Graham Ashcraft? And what do you think about Graham Ashcraft potentially returning to the major league roster so quickly after a demotion, for lack of a better term?
Well, again, we talked about the demotion was as much, I think, about what the Reds' schedule than actually Graham Ashcraft. I think if the Reds were in the bulk of a 16 straight days of baseball, I don't think they would have demoted Ashcraft. I think it was because they could manipulate their rotation a little bit. I think a lot of it's going to come down to, I don't think the Reds have officially announced it, but it sounds like Carson Spires probably pitches on Monday, or he pitches at some point in Pittsburgh. I think if Carson Spires goes out and throws the ball really well from the get-go, I don't see how you remove him from the rotation. I think he's gonna, and I think he's probably unfairly on a start-to-start basis at this point. But I mean, I think it's gonna be a kind of a day-to-day evaluation. But I don't know. Maybe Spires goes out and throws the ball well, and they say, you know what, we'll just throw Spires back in the bullpen. We'll keep him up here. So I don't know. It's going to debate. But I was really impressed with what I saw with Graham Ashcraft his last start. Went back and watched every pitch of it. He battled through some adversity in that game. He got a lot of swing and misses in that game. So that was really cool to see. And it's good to see him making some adjustments. And I don't know. It's interesting. I do think Ashcraft probably ends up being a reliever at some point in his career. But I don't know if that time is yet, or if that even really needs to be something to worry about yet either.
Yeah. So Spires has been announced as the starter for Monday.
Okay.
So you know, not that you would expect Graham Ashcraft to come up and start on Monday anyway after starting last night, night before. You start on Thursday or Friday?
Thursday.
No,
it was Wednesday. It was Wednesday, I think.
Oh, it was Wednesday.
Yeah, because Connor Phillips got walloped again at some point this week. And then
let's not get into that.
Well, I mean, I think Phil. I just remember. I think Phillips was Thursday. So I think Ashcraft was Wednesday.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. I could. All the days run together, man.
I know. I feel you. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And like you said, I think both of these guys, with Spires and with Ashcraft, you know, Spires has already shown an ability to be a long guy out of the bullpen, and has showed value there. There's obviously been a lot of speculation about Graham Ashcraft becoming a reliever in the future. So, so some flexibility, if nothing else, to make decisions in terms of your rotation and try to set guys up for success. And I mean, we've already seen them manipulating the rotation a little bit in order to give guys extra days off and to give guys matchups that matter a little bit. So let's do MILB, and then let's talk about Nick Lodolo starting tomorrow versus the decision to maybe throw him on Monday. So let's do MILB.
All right. So Reds MILB, there's several games in action. A couple games actually got started late because of rain. Louisville's up 3-2 over Omaha in the fifth. Dayton and West Michigan just got underway. 0-0. Chattanooga is trailing Pensacola 4-0. And then Daytona got postponed against Dunedin. So those are the ones that you'll have to wait for tomorrow morning's podcast if you want to hear about what happened in those. But what has happened so far today, Craig, is the DSL Rojas. They beat up on the DSL Cubs 8-0. The DSL Rojas only allowed one hit in that game. Adolfo Sanchez, another really good day. He's off to a good start. This was the top guy the Reds signed from the international free agent market. 2 for 3 with a walk, also stole 2 bases. He's already got 5 stolen bases. And then some good plate discipline from the other 2 top guys. Nabiel Mariano, he walked 3 times. And then Jervin Moriallo, he walked twice. And the other game, the DSL Reds beat DSL Athletics 6-5. And then we also had in the Arizona Complex League, it went final. The ACL Reds beat the ACL Rockies 3-1, but our hero Sheng-In Lin did not play in this one. I hate to report it to you. All right. So tomorrow, Nick Lodolo up against, I don't even remember, who is it? Zach King, is that his name? Zach something?
Zach Kelly.
Whatever. He's an opener, so I mean, whatever.
Yeah, Zach Kelly went a third of an inning today. He threw 6 pitches, so not exactly a high stress day for Zach Kelly. So yeah, probably an opener situation. And then, like you mentioned, maybe turn to Chase Anderson. But Nick, I think go ahead.
I was like, curious they're not going with a lefty. Do they not? They have a couple lefties in their bullpen, don't they? They have 2 lefties in their bullpen. I mean, the Reds lineup is set up to start off with a lefty. I don't understand if you're going with a bullpen game why you would go with a right-handed pitcher and let Ellie De La Cruz face a right-handed pitcher in the first inning, and let TJ Friedel and like Jimmy Candelario as a switch hitter. So that is a puzzling move. That's maybe a benefit to the Reds. I don't really get that one.
And Chase Anderson's a righty, so it's not like you're starting a righty so that you can go to a lefty afterwards. So I don't know. Interesting decision for sure.
Yeah, it just might be where they're at.
Who's available? Yeah, who's healthy enough to throw.
But I do feel like they're kind of giving the Reds a little bit of a break on that.
But yeah, I think again, we've seen the Reds make decisions in the past where they line up their rotation for divisional opponents. Reds decide here to go with Nick Lodolo tomorrow, and then Carson Spires on Monday. Do you like that decision?
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of notes on it, Craig. So the Red Sox are 9-13 against left-handed pitching this year. 31-23. I guess they're 32-23 now against right-handed pitching. The Pirates, meanwhile, 13-13 against lefties, 23-36 against righties. By starting Lodolo on Sunday, his next 2 starts will be against the Cardinals and the Yankees. If they would have started him on Monday, like they originally looked like it was going to happen, he would have been lined up to face the Cardinals and then the Tigers. Also, this will line Lodolo up to pitch the final game of the first half and give him an extra start before the All-Star break. So Lodolo obviously spent some time in the IL. He isn't as innings taxed as some of the other starters. This buys an extra start for arguably your best starter. I know Hunter Green's right there as well, but this is definitely a benefit to the Reds if Lodolo can stay healthy, for sure. But on Lodolo, he's faced the Red Sox once in his career. That was back in 2022 at Great American Ballpark. 5 innings, 3 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts. Rob Refsnyder, that devil, he took him deep. Tyler O'Neill, he obviously faced him when he was with St. Louis. He's 1 for 3 with a double. Devers is 0 for 3, and then Connor Wong is 0 for 2. So, yeah, obviously, I love, for them to try to throw Chase Anderson for 4 or 5 innings, even 3 innings. I mean, that's he's an average pitcher. Look, this is the Reds are probably minus 140, 150 tomorrow.
Yeah, go ahead and jinx it, Nick. That's fine. No, but yeah, I mean, Nick Lodolo, anytime you have Nick Lodolo on the mound, you got to feel confident going in. His last start out against Pittsburgh on the 18th, 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 8 strikeouts, no walks, which was really important. 1 hit batter, of course. He's got a string, Nick, now of 4 straight quality starts since coming back from the IL. He's made 5 starts since coming back. 4 of them have been a quality start. The 5th start, obviously not a quality start because he was pulled after 5 1/3. But in the 5 games since returning, Nick, 5 games since returning, he's 5-0. He's gone 30 1/3 innings, 27 hits, only 7 earned runs for a 2.08 ERA in that stretch. He's walked 6 batters with 27 strikeouts, 6 hit by pitches, though. So that's one thing that I think will be interesting to see over the course of Nick Lodolo's career is that curveball, especially down and into right-handed batters, that ends up hitting him on the back foot. More and more we're seeing guys lay off of that. Can he adjust, maybe start that ball a little bit more in the zone, avoid hitting him on the back end? And the other thing, to your point, Nick, obviously this lines him up for 2 more important starts, I guess, with the Yankees over the Tigers. But 4 of his 5 starts since returning have been against division opponents, and the 5th one was against Cleveland. So all 5 of his starts, really important starts in the grand scheme of things, 4 of which obviously super important, being against division rivals.
Yeah. So look, if the Reds can find a way to get a win tomorrow, I think this would be a great weekend for the Reds. Obviously today was a very disappointing loss, but I said on Friday, I think this Red Sox team, if they were in the NL Central, I think they would win this division. This is a team that I think has a run differential of like about plus 50. They had won 5 in a row coming in. They had just won 3 straight series against quality competition. So it's a good Red Sox team. They may not have the names, the name recognition of like the Yankees or the Dodgers or one of those teams, but I think they built a pretty good team. It'll be interesting to see kind of how this Red Sox season finishes because I don't know. I was really blown away with the kind of the team that they've built with a lot of names that I didn't really know when I was kind of digging in, researching this team before the series. Any final thoughts, Craig?
No, just real quick. I want to shout out Carrick Melvin in the chat. Just let us know. Blake Dunn just hit in the head by a pitch in Louisville. He was removed from the game. Did walk off under his own power, but yeah, he just got hit in the head when he was in the majors, didn't he?
Yeah,
he obviously in that one didn't leave the game, but
Emmanuel Class A.
Yeah, so I just looked, and yeah, nonetheless, Blake Dunn hit by pitch in the top of the 5th, replaced by Hernan Perez. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that and see if we can get an update on Blake Dunn for either for the podcast for tomorrow morning, or I'm sure Nick and Tracy can give an update tomorrow night on Chatterbox Reds.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all for the show today. Thanks everyone for watching. 9 p.m. tomorrow, our normal-ish Sunday time. Trace will be back. Hopefully we'll be talking about a Reds series dub. If you could like the stream on your way out, appreciate everyone. I know that I've seen a lot of people recently that have gave us 5-star reviews for the podcast. Can't tell you how much that really does help us out. So I really appreciate that. And thanks for everyone for watching today. Thanks everyone for interacting. Thanks for all the super chats. Thanks for everyone who continues to support us here at Chatterbox Reds. All right. Have a great rest of your Saturday. We'll talk again tomorrow. Go Reds.